But you know, when
Yeah.
people talk about the sound of a transformer and there's different kinds of transformers,
Mm,
is that, I mean, does a transformer contain all that magic that people say, or is it
mm.
is it
Okay, they can do, yeah.
right?
Um,
I mean, what
they,
I mean
you know,
these.
certainly the quality of the steel,
Hmm, right.
the you know, the windings, how it's wound. There are different techniques of winding it. You know, so when we talk about a transformer, typically we're talking about a primary winding on one side, you know, on one side,
Hmm,
and then the secondary winding, which you know has a ratio to, you know. So the idea is to transform what, you know, the voltage that comes in
mm-hmm,
into let's say you have like a high impedance scenario on one side of the transformer. We have high voltage and low current, and to transform that in on the other side uh, into a low voltage, high current,
right,
low impedance scenario that will then drive the speaker.
right.
Um, the way that is done in the transformer, which is, you know, transformer is essentially a passive crude device. You know, it's a steel core um, with wrap, you know, with windings, with wire wrapped around it.
Right.
But well, it's called interleaving. You know, like where you can inter where you can wind parts of the primary, then wind parts of the secondary into the same winding
Right.
without touching. I mean, they don't touch each other. You know, they don't short out. You know, and so that the primary and the secondary are like kind of woven together like that,
Hmm.
to minimize losses in the
Right.
transformer. You know, well, with, you know, there are, I mean, I'm not a transformer expert, you know, and the people who do that, to make transformers, can tell you a lot more about that.
Hmm.
And but in terms of interleaving and stuff like that, you know, like there are some transformers that are, you know, like the Tweed basement transformer. You
Hmm.
know, it's a output transformer. It's a, you know, it has this sort of holy grail, um, you know,
Right.
status. You
Right.
know,
Right.
this myth, or I don't know if it's a myth. It's a fantastic sounding transformer, but
But
um,
can you say that a
it's
transformer is amazing sounding? I mean, doesn't it depend on the whole, all the stages before it and
oh, of
after?
course, yeah, of course, it all, you know, every part of the amp
Hmm.
has you know, has a crucial effect on how the whole thing works together.
Hmm.
One thing that people, to my absolute, you know, bafflement, you know, like often neglect, is the speaker.
Right.
I mean, the speaker is the one thing that actually makes the sound,
Hmm.
and and I and it's kind of hard to believe how many crappy speakers you find in good amps.
Right.
You know, um, but yeah, output transformers absolutely have a huge effect on the sound of an amp.
But so
You know,
when you designed your amp, did you go through different transformers and you there
mm,
was there a huge difference in the
yeah,
ones you tried?
you definitely. I mean, you can
Right.
hear differences in the quality of the, you know. I mean, and not you know what, it all has to work together,
Right.
and you try transformers until you get to a point where you think, I like this type of transformer in this amp best.
Right.
You know, I mean, I tend to like smaller output transformers over bigger ones
Hmm.
in general. Uh, I find that larger output transformers, you know, if they're physically larger, you know, with more core material, with more, they to me they always sound more hi-fi.
Right.
They take the cohesiveness. I mean, they do. They have a tremendous or amazing bottom end, you know, clarity.
Hmm.
But to me, they also lose the cohesiveness across the middle somehow. It's as
Right.
if, you know, the best way to put it, I think, is probably, I found with the bigger transformers, it's like sitting in front of like a three-way hi-fi speaker box,
Right.
and you have the woofer and the mid-range and the tweeter,
Mm-hmm.
and you can hear them. You can, if you really sort of sitting closely in front of it, you can hear the woofer, you can hear the mid range, you can hear the tweeter almost separately.
Mm.
I don't think that that's necessarily desirable in a guitar amp.
Right.
So I don't know. In my experience, I've always favored the smaller transformers,
Right. Interesting.
physically smaller.
Yeah.
But then using the type of steel you use and the type of uh, wire and how thick the wire is and how many turns there are, it all weighs in.
Mm.
Much like it weighs into pickups, and
Sure.
so I think that so. The thing with guitar amps always is it's not hi-fi. We're not trying to reproduce
Mm.
sound. We're
Mm.
trying to make sound, produce sound.
Right.
Come up with something that creates sound rather than reproduces it. So the approach to a guitar amp is probably much cruder than it would be with you know with hi-fi amp.
Right. Yeah.
Where you
When you want to
where
replicate. Yeah.
yeah.